Welcome back to Till All Are Done, the show where we seek out and cover one toy from every character in the Transformers universe. G1 is where we're picking characters from currently, and if you want to follow the series from the very beginning, check out the playlist linked in the description below or click the card in the corner. But the best way to stay tuned for new episodes is to subscribe and see which figures I'm going to showcase next. If there is a Starscream toy that is released, the no-brainer move is to repaint or retool the figure into as many of Starscream's many Seeker buddies as you can. So we will get the chance to cover a lot of different Starscream molds across 40 plus years of toys. But we have to spread the wealth through his subordinates, or else we'll end up just covering repaints of each other. So Thundercracker, it's your turn. This character seems like your typical goon, hired muscle type of guy with a bit of an apathy streak. But underneath this exterior, there is a more interesting character that is wondering, what if the Decepticons are doing something wrong? This is especially explored in the IDW comics, where he gets a very good story about how he joins the Autobots after discovering how much he doesn't belong with the Decepticons. I'm not a comics guy, but I really dig this storyline for the character, and will go out of my way to read it one day. To go with the IDW story, they released a very weird toy in typical Hasbro fashion. Not only is it part of the thrilling 30 toy line, which had issues counting to 30, this Thundercracker toy doesn't resemble the comics version in either look or paint app, I guess. Instead, he is a repaint of the Fall of Cybertron Starscream toy with G1 cartoon-inspired colors. So with a chance to resemble the IDW side of things, Hasbro were just as apathetic as our blue boy here. Good thing the toy is interesting enough to cover anyways. Here is Generations Thrilling 30 Fall of Cybertron Thundercracker. Transformers. So we'll start with the robot mode first, but that's better. I completed the trio in my collection, so they're gonna hang out with us for the review. In that sense, I'm happy about the repaints because I'm pretty sure Thundercracker was in Fall of Cybertron for all of one level. The head sculpt is just Starscream's, but it looks good. Plus we got light piping that looks pretty good with the red eyes, which is actually different from the other two figures. I do wish they gave him that signature smirk that some of the Thundercracker repaints got throughout the years, but oh well. Still good. On a deluxe scale, I guess you can't really see it that much. The upper body and arms look really great on this toy, and they capture the Fall of Cybertron model almost one-to-one. As much as I love the Generation Cybertronian toys, like the Megatron we covered, they don't really strive for complete in-game accuracy. When it came time for the Fall of Cybertron toys to come out, they took it a lot more serious this time. Everything on this figure looks aerodynamic and sharp, including the shoulders, the pauldrons the Seekers are famous for, the shape of the torso, and even the cockpit as well. One oddity though is that both Starscream and Skywark have orange glass, and Thundercracker has this piss yellow colored glass. I think the orange looks better and they didn't need to change it, but then again I think it's part of the G1 color aesthetic. Unfortunately, Hasbro and Takara were caught between a rock and a hard place in 2012 when these toys were made. The cost of plastics skyrocketed due to the high prices of oil in the US. This had a massive effect on the price of the materials making these toys, and as you can see, the effects trickling down to the build quality of the whole toy line. Case and point, the wrists on all three of my Seekers here can spin like no tomorrow, and no, that's just not amazing articulation. They are loose because the pins holding them together are not tight enough because the plastic quality is just not there. Thundercracker also feels very light, and it's probably due to the grade of the plastic and how much of it was used. As nice as this toy looks, it has a lot of hollow parts to it, including inside the arms and legs. The torso came out looking great, but inside it's just a big hollow cavity, and you can see right through the toy through the holes on the toy's back, and when you look at the side profile, This is where I wish they made these figures Voyager scale, not because I need them bigger, that would have been nice though, but mostly because they would have been able to charge more for them, which would have led to the designers increasing the budget and maybe using higher quality material on them. I have a bunch of figures from this line, and all the deluxes feel lighter and cheaper made. Shockwave, Jazz, Sideswipe, Ultra Magnus, they even got to my boy Grimlock. They all feel a lot cheaper made. However, Voyager Soundwave is a good example of one where the build quality is great, so maybe these three flyers would have been alright if they ended up on the Voyager scale. Anyways, the back of the figure looks really good with the Cybertronian jet wings, the tail fin, and the back of the shoulder pauldrons, which are a Seeker staple. This is the spot where you can see how close they stuck to the G1 colors. Side by side, you can see how the red and white stripes are incorporated into the wings, plus the Decepticon logos. Of course, the pattern is different because the wing shape is different, but it's a homage to the style of the older G1 toy. The hue of blue is less like the G1 cartoons royal blue, and instead this darker blue that ended up on the 1984 toy. I think it looks pretty nice, but hands down Skywarp takes the prize for the best deco for this mold. It's really hard to beat black and purple, and the way that it was put on this figure with the silver, he got lucky with his color scheme, what can I say? Now the feet design is pretty cool with it being the jet boosters, but he does lose a bit of stability with the feet being designed like this. If I bump him, he's gonna fall down, let's say 8 times out of 10. That is thanks to the front toes extending too far at times, causing the figure to fall flat on his face. Ouch. But it's not catastrophic for posing stuff so long as you don't bump the desk or the table. The weapons that come with all three figures are an absolute highlight of this package. Each come with their own custom colored triple barreled miniguns, and 2 of them, one for each hand, because I can definitely see these badasses carrying a freaking minigun with one hand. You can also peg these things on any of the generous amount of peg ports all over the body, top or bottom of the hands, forearms, legs, wings, even on the back itself. The tail fin on the back can come off, and then you can stick the guns right on the back, holstering them. Each minigun has one short peg and one peg that's longer, so you can kind of position them the way they need to be positioned. I'm seriously impressed with how much utility these weapons have, but it doesn't stop there. You'll notice one side of each minigun is flat with this tab here, so oh yes, double minigun, baby. The best thing is that when you have them both tabbed together, both barrels spin at the same time. These little teeth lock together, so when one spins, the other spins in the opposite direction. The only thing that would have made this even better is some kind of gimmick to make them spin by themselves, but we're talking deluxe class during a budget and plastic crisis, so at least we have this. Let's talk articulation so we can use it to get into some cool poses with the weapons. While the plastic grade might feel a bit cheaper, they did not skimp out on parts used for the articulation. Head is on a ball joint, but it only lets you spin it 360 degrees. However, you can tilt the head back thanks to the transformation. No nodding forward though. Shoulders are pinned on, so full T-posing is possible. Unfortunately, the wings don't fold backwards enough to let you use the 360 shoulder rotation on the arms. That is capable if the wings weren't there. You do get a 360 degree bicep swivel though, that's cool. And if you're able to tilt the shoulders slightly back, then it looks like the shoulders have separated from its body. And I always feel like I'm mistransforming the shoulders here and they're supposed to tuck under the torso, but after doing some research, that's not the case. Weird little quirk of the figure, I guess. You have double jointed elbows giving you full elbows, which is an important part of the transformation. Awesome stuff there. Too bad about the wrists though, as they're loose as fuck. If it wasn't for some protruding arm plastic, you'd probably be able to spin them 360 degrees. No waist rotation at all, but legs are pinned on, and you can almost kick out above his head at the right angle. the legs kick back 90 degrees and you get a bit more than 180 degrees of leg swivels. Knees go backwards at 90. Surprisingly, the feet do give you some ankle tilt left and right despite how they're designed. Not much, but it's enough to assist the figure while posing, and that's more than we can ask for out of the way the feet were designed here. So with articulation like this, which is limited in certain spots, it's actually a surprise that you can get a ton of poses from the figure even with the big cockpit and backpack. My favorite weapon pose is with Thundercracker holding the double barrel minigun in front of his torso, holding the pegs from both sides. The double jointed elbows really help curve the forearms into the right position to hold it, and maybe the lighter grade plastic is a bit of a blessing here, because even with the big ass minigun sticking in front of him, I can still get the legs into a stance that can hold the weight of the minigun in front of his upper body. It's fascinating, really. And there are lots of great poses you can pull off without the guns as well. With all three Seekers together, you can get some fun stances and team-up poses that will look great. This is hands down the biggest positive for this mold, and despite its clear shortcomings thanks to external forces out of Hasbro's control, they found other ways to make lemonade and make the figure special, making up for these negatives. Transformation is super easy and very intuitive. I may have watched a transformation video twice to figure out how to position the torso and the shoulders for robot mode, and then after that, I can transform this thing forwards and backwards, no problem. It's a good one to pick off the shelf and just transform it a bunch of times with how smooth the transformation is. The three major steps are 1. Flattening out the cockpit and the wings. 2. Folding up the arms underneath the wingspan with those double jointed elbows, which help you tuck it right into the body. And 3. Placing the legs towards the back with the jet boosters, feet pegging into the 2 pegs at the back. Oh, and of course, flip the nose cone. I always forget to do that. There's obviously a few more steps than that, but that's the gist of it, and I think it's one of the easiest and most fun transformations you can find in the toy line. Now we got Thundercracker into his Cybertronian jet alt mode, and I like it with a few caveats. As far as the look of it, it's stellar. It's sleek, it's aerodynamic from all sides, and I think a lot of people really don't like the small wingspan, but that's how it is in the game, and it fits the Cybertron aesthetic, where the Seekers don't have to be robots in disguise, really. That G1 paint deco is putting some work with the nice looking stripes on the wings, but again, the piss colored cockpit glass is a bit weak sauce. Skywarp wins the deco contest again. Combined with the miniguns attached on each side of the wings, it starts to clean up even nicer. You can also unpeg the tail fin at the top, and you'll be able to stick the combined miniguns right on top of the jet. Sick! You could even put the tail fin right back on top of the double-barreled minigun with this peg port. This is for people like me who have a conniption every time I have to put pieces aside of the toy where I could potentially lose them. But same as the robot mode, you have quite a few looks to pull off with the weapons in alt mode. One of the caveats though comes from when you look at the underside of the jet and realize it's pretty hollow under there too. The back half is mostly fine, but it's filled out with the rest of the limbs, but the front part is just way too thin. Plus, there's a hole in the jet. Is that the best place we could have stored the head, really? Just turn it around and bury it in the cover of this gap, this massive gap? Come on, you're not fooling anybody. We know that's his head, but fuck it. Just leave the head up so Thundercracker can watch where he's going when he's flying around. I've never been fully in love with the alt mode of this design. It is cool, but I think I prefer the robot mode on this toy much better, although I did have the 3 of them displayed on my shelf in alt mode for some reason. I also prefer the Tetrajet as the definitive Cybertronian alt mode, but I'm still cool with this. As a complete package, it's a mold certainly stunted by the grade of plastic that it's made out of, its size class, and design decisions they had to make in the name of saving money. Had this, or I guess it would be Starscream, been released in the War for Cybertron era with the other 5 generation Cybertronian toys, that's 2 years beforehand, the build quality would certainly have been much better than what we got here. However, I see things about this toy that make me think it's trying to win using the shit hand of cards that it's been dealt with. There are equal amounts of surprisingly good things to talk about with this toy as there are clear faults. For that, I don't know if this is very generous, but I'm rating it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Maybe that's whack for some of you, but I think this ended up way better than the other deluxes in its line. And what really won me over is the weapons and poseability. Thundercracker and his buddies look great on display, and I had so much fun recording footage for this video, getting all 3 of them into different poses. I have to ask you guys how you feel about these 3 Seekers. Do you feel like I do about them, or do you think they're just not very good? I want to know, but I'm also sticking to my miniguns on this one. I find these toys excellent despite their flaws, but I'm also curious to see if I'm on my own Cybertronian island or not. That's all we got for this episode of Till All Are Done. You won't have to wait long for us to finish the trio. I'm breaking the chain and bumping our purple and black Seeker buddy up the line, so make sure you sub to the channel so you don't miss out on that. I don't know if notifications work these days, but hit the bell to maybe get alerted for that episode. Until then, thanks for stopping by the JR Magnus channel, and peace out.